We went on a delivery last year to an apartment in South Boston, and we brought the presents up to the apartment, and a lady answered the door, and she just started crying. She gave us big hugs, and she said, "You've made my Christmas complete."
This is great. I think this is, this is what Christmas is all about, giving back, and it's a great feeling.
I get hooked into that spirit of giving. It's as pure as it can get. I just love it. I can't say enough for it.
Well, the mission of My Brother's Keeper is to bring the love and hope of Jesus Christ into the lives of the people whom we serve. We begin with our principal fundraiser in October, a dinner dance. From there, we proceed to our Christmas Mass in early December, which brings our entire community together. From that point on, we accumulate all of the gifts and food from a number of companies, organizations, churches of all denominations, families and individuals, and bring it in here into the warehouse to be assembled and distributed out to nearly 1,000 families and 40 communities. The video that you're about to see, Memories of Christmas, is our attempt to share with you the great joy experienced by all of the volunteers who took part.
That I'm helping other people.
What do you like about that?
That it's fun.
Yeah? And what have you done today so far?
Looked for stuff for the people and wrapped the stuff for the people.
Oh, you did?
I've wrapped gifts for a number of families, children and parents, and it's been quite an experience.
No, I had no idea. Actually, I was like surprised. He had so many stuff, and totally amazed still. It's a great operation. You were saying it's all donation from private donations, and I just think it's wonderful that people do that.
It's just like this one. I was so amazed at this, I don't know what company gave us this food, these vegetables. And I said, man, this is great. They gave us all this stuff, and with the gift certificate, these people could go to Shaw's, buy a turkey, and they got all in the box, enough for, a regular Christmas dinner, which is great. If they had enough money to buy, go to Shaw's and buy a turkey, they couldn't afford, the other stuff, all the stuff that goes with it. So this makes it real worthwhile. And they really appreciate it. Some are different from others. Some really show their joy, and some actually jump up and click their heels. But a lot of people, I'll say like me, I could be the happiest person in the world. Maybe you wouldn't even know it. But inside, I'm busting. So you can't take a lot of them and say, well, they don't appreciate it, because everybody appreciates it, whether they show it or not. And then we don't want no thanks as long as they get it. I don't need no pats on the back, because it's not from me, it's from God.
And the most fun that we've had over the last couple of years has been the Giving Tree project that we've had, where people take ornaments and buy for individual children and for adults. It's been a lot of fun, and we've gotten probably between 60 and 100 people in the parish involved in processing the gifts, and probably have collected enough gifts for 125 families each year. So it's been a real good way to bring the parish together, and it's been a lot of fun.
The kids came up to us and thanked us and hugged us and everything. And the mother started crying because she got so many presents for the kids. And the kids only wanted presents for their mother. They didn't care what they got.
Yes. But the one that really comes to mind was Wednesday afternoon during the snowstorm. We were driving down to a house on Shepherd Street. And we went upstairs. It's a big tenement house, and we got up to the 3rd floor, and here's this young mother with 6 little kids. And the kids were absolutely just jumping all over us. They wanted us to pick them up. They wanted us to talk to them for a while. One of them put my hat on, and we just had an absolutely wonderful time. And these kids, in surroundings that were about as dismal as any I've seen all week, to have such happiness and such joy about some people coming in and bringing them a few things, it absolutely made my holiday season for me, I know that.
I think I can sum up My Brother's Keeper in just explaining how it felt to listen to Jim take an incoming phone call tonight. He was so good at putting the person at ease. By the end of the phone call, I was in tears, and I didn't hear the other person, but I know that she came away feeling good and knowing that there were people out there that cared and that God loved her, and that's what it's all about.
When we walked in, there was about 4 or 5 little kids that would run over to you, and they were so happy that My Brother's Keeper's van was here, and they were just happy to see us. And one of the young men there had actually told us that he'd like to help us volunteer, and it just seemed like you could sense a lot of gratefulness within the family and happiness that we were able to bring.
We're bringing in all the gifts, and as we walked in the door, seeing the children's eyes just light up, and they looked at us like we were Santa Claus ourselves, and they were so excited.
That we had done a furniture delivery. We had an emergency call a few months before, and a young boy was on the phone saying that they didn't have any beds and that floor was really hard. And so we raced some beds to them and eventually got them a lot of furniture. And they had been, when we first arrived, in a very desperate mode. And it just so happened at Christmas that as one of the many deliveries we were doing, one of my deliveries that I was on was to this family. And as soon as we drove up, they recognized us and said, "Hey, I remember you." And just their whole attitude was, this young man's especially, was so much more positive, so much more hopeful, that, you know, kind of symbolized for me what this is all about, is to give, as Jim says, to give people hope.
My wife, Terry, was out shopping for a family, and one of the kids in the family was a 2-year-old boy named Trevor, and the mother said that he needed a winter coat. So she went shopping throughout the whole warehouse, couldn't find a winter coat. So she started shopping for the rest of the kids. Half an hour transpires, and a truck arrives at the back of the warehouse with a whole bunch of coats from WearGuard. In the box is a coat for a 2-year-old with the name Trevor stenciled on it. Amen.
And my favorite time in the whole time is when we get together and Jim turns the lights down and plays the hymn, and it's just all Christmas lights in the dark, you know, and it says Santa's Workshop. You just feel so much in the spirit of Christmas.
She called the kids by their names and said, "Come on in, come on, come in. Look, we're going to have a Christmas. We're going to have a Christmas." And the kids just came running in the door, and we stood in the driveway just to hear. And you really knew, it was like 2 days before Christmas, that if we didn't show up, they really were not going to have a Christmas. And they had the presents, they had the food. It was great.
It becomes apparent after a while that it's not our work. It's something else that's happening here. But in the morning, in prayer, as I look around the group of people and see the faces, and knowing that this is good, that this is right, that as Jim says, we're given the privilege to help the beloved of God. That's what keeps me coming back. That's the sense I have every morning, that this is good.
The operation of the place itself is overwhelming. The organization, how everything seems to blend in together, and all kinds of people, but no one's in each other's way. And they all have an attitude about them that just can't be matched. And I think the most gratifying is when you're out making deliveries and you see the joy on the little kids' faces and the gratitude of the adults who you deliver to, who just really can't thank you enough. And just heartwarming is what it is.
Going to a lady's house that we delivered to earlier, a couple months ago. She just moved into Brockton from an abusive relationship, and we set her up with a bed for her kids, furniture for her house, and we went back this Christmas to deliver her presents. She was so happy. She was just jumping around, just like a little kid does. And she had us put her Christmas presents outside so the kids wouldn't see it. And she was just so happy. She gave us a letter, a card that we put up in the warehouse, and it was just really touching to go back and see her again and see how well she's doing. And she recently just got a job, so she's on her own 2 feet again where she wants to be. She has hope now. That's the best part of this Christmas season.
The 1995 My Brother's Keeper Christmas effort has come to a close. Through the combined efforts of all of us, God provided for 987 families and 41 towns. What a fantastic accomplishment and what a wonderful feeling of gratification. My personal favorite memory of Christmas was a delivery I was involved in on Christmas Eve. Standing in front of the door with the bags, we could hear the children's voices, "My brother's keeper, my brother's keeper," coming from inside the door. But when the door opened, there stood Sherry and her 5 children, a family that we had served for 3 years, and in their hands they held gifts for us. It was just an amazing feeling. We were ushered in, our bags were politely set aside, and we were made to sit down in the chair. The first gift I opened from a child was a bathroom tile that had fallen off the wall, and painted with fingernail polish was "Merry Christmas" to my brother's keeper, and a wreath painted on it. The next gift, with the little child standing in front of me, was a picture drawn from a coloring book and wrapped up in comic papers. And the picture was a Charlie Brown Christmas tree with a mouse sleeping in a sardine can on Christmas Eve. You see, this mother, Sherry, she knew the secret. The secret that God had sent His Son, Jesus, to explain to all of us that it is in the giving that we receive. And she wanted to pass that secret on to her children, and she did, because she knew that once they understood that it is in the giving that we receive, that they would never be poor again. Regardless of what they have or they don't have in a material sense, they will have the love of God in them. And it will grow and it will grow and give them a sense of well-being and security, because they understand God's message, that it is in the giving that we receive, that regardless of our religion, whatever it may be, that we are truly all our brother's keepers.